How's everybody doing, guys? Obviously, Steve and Shane, Maineiac Outdoors. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of stuff online, people asking questions, new coyote hunters that are out there, asking questions about what calls they should use. And Steve and I have been doing this for quite a long time now, so we kind of wanted to get together, give you guys a rundown of a bunch of different calls. Obviously, out in the woods, we have our preferred calls that we use, but having done this for a while, we've accumulated a lot of different calls, a lot of different brands, and so we just kind of wanted to give you guys, it's not so much a tutorial, or we're not out here trying to do a competition against one call or the other, but more or less we just wanted to give you guys a breakdown of the different calls so you can see the sounds, maybe not invest as much time and effort into trying to figure out the calls that Steve and I have. But yeah, so we're just going to kind of sample through some of these calls and what we have and what they sound like. So we'll probably start off. You want to do some distress calls?
Well, first we'll tell them what we
yeah,
were just howling on. So
yeah.
Shane probably tell you more. Anyways, we use the MFK diaphragms in a lot of our setups to do the calls that we just did, and basically that's a pair of coyotes calling out. We do it quite a bit.
Yep.
We have some pretty good success on it, and it varies. I was pretty low key. We were about a midway. We get on it pretty good, so it's a lot more louder, but we'll see how it sounds on video, I guess,
Yeah,
when we watch it
exactly.
back.
We didn't want to blow the sound out of the room here. We didn't want it echoing too bad, but these are MFK game calls diaphragms. They're made by Tory Cook, who is a world champion caller. They're used by multiple world champion callers right now. If you guys happen to check them out at mfkgamecalls.com, you'll see Jason Grossclothes on there, who is a multiple world champion caller. You have Jamie Terry, JT, who just won recently this past summer as a world champion. Kerry Wayne Weaver is the amateur world champion. I'm not sure why he didn't get into the pro circuit with the other guys, but either way, these guys are probably the best in the business when it comes to diaphragms, and they're pretty much all we use. So
basically he's saying these are the calls to run, which Shane's good friends with them, and I'm not saying I'm not. I don't know them, but certainly I feel like their calls are super effective. So we're going to go the only difference that I do, Shane kind of cups his hands, works good to make the noise kind of funnel out in the direction you want, and to give it kind of more of a bassier tone, because it's pretty high pitch, but gives it kind of some rolling thunder. I use an amp horn, and this one Shane made for me is a cow horn that he polished up and stuff, so I love it myself. I used to call it just cupping my hands, and I just carry this in my pocket, and
some of you guys are going to make a joke when I say this, but I blow so hard that I don't really feel that I need the amp horn for extra volume. Plus the amp horn allows for back pressure, which allows you to create some different tones on the call. And for what we're doing out there, because we do use these in conjunction with our electronic Fox Pros, I don't really feel the need to do much more than what we do.
Shane has excellent back pressure. Anyway, that's the gist of this. He carries quite a few.
Yep.
I think mine's a competition howler.
Yeah,
I'm not
mine's
sure,
a
but
competition howler.
There's a few different ones, and
we'll go over a couple of them here in a few minutes, because they don't just make howlers. They make calls for every facet of hunting, whether it's the distress calls, and when we get into the distress, I'll demonstrate a couple of those. There's pup screamers, which I have one of those here, and they do have a different variation of howlers, depending on what level, again, how hard you might blow on a call, you know, because the stretch of the latex, but Anyway, let's go ahead into the rabbit distress calls and what we have here. Steve has a couple of different ones here, from one that was hand turned from our buddy that was one of the founders of Maineiac Outdoors with Steve, Josh Johnson, and he hand turned this one. And just like most of your other calls, whether you get them from Brookside Game Calls like this one right here and poly it up yourself, it has just the metal reed with the mylar, or metal housing with the mylar reed in it. And you can get them to create different tones. I'll have Steve go ahead and demonstrate with this one. Yep. As you can see, his is pretty high pitched. Mine's a little bit bassier with these calls.
Well, I'll go into, this is the Primos Coaxer. I bought this call years and years ago. And I'll probably, I don't hunt daylight coyotes very much anymore, if at all, but back in the day when we were putting a lot of coyotes on video for daylight, being able to video them, this was a call that I used a lot until Josh came out with that. We found some different variations that work, but this one's kind of unique because it has a little squeaker button. So if you block the forward hole of that, you can...
Makes for a nice coaxer sound.
The coaxer, so that's basically you're imitating a mole or a mouse or something to that nature, which will coax a coyote in from
close distance.
Yeah, or even a couple hundred yards away, depends on what kind of mindset he is in. But a lot of times when you're calling, you can finish up your set just by doing the coaxer. But anyways, so that was this one here was pretty high pitched, and really you just got to kind of try different things, and you could try even different calls while you're out there calling them, because we do a lot even in nighttime hunting is switch up the distress. But anyway, this is a little bit raspier. And I guess one thing I ought to say too is the cadence is quite a bit, almost always the same when you're doing it. So when you're blowing on a rabbit call, it's a like a baby's wah, like wah, wah, wah. That rabbit will do the same thing over, and then you just put some inflection. The one nice thing about a hand call over, say, your mechanical calls, is you can put a lot of inflection and make it sound different. And the problem with a lot of the mechanical calls is maybe they all sound the same. So if you're hunting in an area that gets a lot of hunting pressure, then distress rabbit on there sounds like the same distress rabbit that your buddy's playing, that someone else is playing, that someone. So sometimes picking up a hand call is the way to go, because it'll give that inflection and a different tone.
Absolutely.
And however you blow it, it doesn't really matter. The basis is all the same. As you're basically it's a wounded rabbit, so it's just distress. So
yeah, and actually that brings up a good point, because as we were going through our bag of calls, we noticed that Steve and I both have the same call, and I think, yeah, it's made by Primos. I'm not even sure what they call it. It is a Randy Anderson endorsed call. Yep.
K-I-Y-I.
Oh, Kiki.
Well, I don't think that's a Kiki.
Oh, Kai.
Is this a howler?
It is. I guess it's supposed to be, but we've always used them as a distress call.
I mean, that's a lot to be said, though, because even with the howlers, we do our pup wands and stuff on them. So even though a call may not be used for one thing, if it sounds similar, then by all means use it. I'm not sure. We're not really sure.
Yeah, so let's just point this out. We don't use these calls. These are why they're in our call bags.
It is an adjustable tone.
Yep, adjustable tone. So I'm going to give it a little rabbit squeal, and I'm going to sound different on here than Steve's going to.
I'm going to try to howl afterwards. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if it is a howler.
definitely could use this as a rabbit call or a distress call as well. So
Do you dare to howl on it?
I don't dare to howl on it.
Definitely a distress call.
Definitely a distress call.
Well, we figured
but you
out.
might, I mean, it's a coyote,
No.
so you might be able to do pup and
Look,
distress.
folks.
No, that
I mean,
really
it's
doesn't
kind of
sound that
raspy.
good.
Here, we're gonna, you know, it's during these bleak times that we have the ability to sit down and
Yeah.
see. That's maybe getting up there. Maybe you gotta just change the tone. No,
No.
definitely
No.
not.
You can see what kind of things we come up with during these times when we're supposed to be self-quarantining. Both Steve and I take the self-quarantine very, very strictly. Or seriously, I should say.
Yeah.
So we feel comfortable being around each other because we're not around anybody else. So I just want to point that out, that we're not busting on
Yeah,
the laws.
I definitely, take it as serious as we can. I'm not too sure about it, nor do I care to go into it, but, my principle with Shane is if he self-quarantines and I self-quarantine, then we're good to go. So we've been coyote hunting a lot together. Probably if it wasn't for his company with his boys and my boy, I think we'd go pretty mad, but having coyote hunting and something we enjoy to do. I could just basically tune this up all the way to the end, so we'll just see. Well, it's definitely getting loonier anyway.
I think it could work as a bird distress at
That
this
sounds like a
point.
peacock.
Yeah, or a loon.
All right, so basically we found out that the coyote is maybe a distress call. We're not sure. We'll have
If you want to use
tight
it,
with Randy Anderson.
yeah, if you want to use it as a coyote, look up Aunt Randy Anderson on YouTube because we are definitely not the
Anyway,
experts at that.
might have been the second or third time I've blown that. I'm not sure, but anyway, they make a whole realm of different calls, even into the rabbit distress. I mean, I've got 4 here. Shane's got 4. So basically, whatever works, and you can certainly buy the reeds and make these out yourself too.
I think that's just an arrow shaft and piece of rubber, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. A friend gave this to me and said not to show anybody. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a waiting trademark right now, so please don't copy. So we said at the beginning that MFK makes different calls as well. One of their distress calls is the double slash. I like this because I can do the fawn in distress on it, but you can also do the rabbit in distress. Again, I focus more on the coyote vocalizations, but I'll give it a call with the rabbit in distress. Steve pointed out that it's more of a wah, wah. I say rah, rah when I'm doing it, and you're apt to hear it, or read, read. Steve loves me. I blow his eardrums out all the time, whether it's with the call or the gun, but
That's why I always drink beer when we're doing these things.
yeah, so I'll give you guys a little bit of the fawn in distress that I can do with this.
And it's a good time of year to do either one of those. We're coming into our fawn dropping stage here in the next probably month.
Yep. It is a lot easier to let the call do the electronic call. do
Oh,
it,
for
but
sure. But sometimes there's total gratification to
calling them
calling them in
yourself.
yourself.
Batteries die. It's awful
Yeah.
nice to have
Yeah, we've
vehicles
actually had times when we got out in the field and either sparked the call up and it died, or it got all the way out to where we wanted to call. So
Yeah.
always keep some kind of call on you. And the nice thing is all the predators in the world probably will go after a dying rabbit. So there you have it. If you go into the woods and you're carrying your Fox Pro with you, and then you get there and the batteries are dead,
Yeah.
or whatever. Boy, it would be good to have one of those. We carry them with us, I think.
We do, and we've walked into fields. We just had this a couple weeks ago where we pulled up alongside of the road. We were getting out, and I'm scanning. I said, "Steve, dogs are right here in the field." And so we just grabbed our tripods and our guns. We got halfway across the field, and we're like, "Oh shoot, the caller!" But I had my MFK with me, and
Call's doing.
yeah. So the first one I actually dumped without calling, and then I immediately went right into pup in distress on the MFK competition howler. You can, as Steve said, we can do different things with the same call, whether it's howling, whether it's pup in distress. I've even had times when all I had was my competition howl with me, and I could do rabbit in distress on it. It doesn't have the raspiness that, say, that two-reed slash does, but it got the job done. So, but anyway,
Yeah, we can do a rendition of that too.
What, the pup in distress?
Yeah, so this is my howler diaphragm, and basically with any of these calls, it's just getting it worked into your mouth. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't call. I'm telling you, if you want to up your game, is being able to vocal and make the sounds that they do with your mouth. There's some really huge benefits to it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we call a lot of animals on a Fox Pro, and I'm not saying Fox Pro or any of those calls aren't awesome. They certainly are, but there's times when, like I said, maybe the time and the place, like the realism in your own calling.
Yeah.
Sometimes will do the deal.
Yeah,
But.
and we are diehard MFK fans. We have Primos calls, which we'll go through here in a minute. We have a power howler from, where are these guys from? From Elk Incorporated out in Montana that I can demonstrate. But if you want the realism, I don't think there's anything more you can get than MFK game calls. So
Yeah.
I'll have Steve do his pup in distress, and then I'll give you my pup in distress. And again, that's the same call that we're howling on as well, so. Perfect. So we're both using the competition howler sound, and as you can tell, with the infliction, our sounds are totally different than each other. Mm-hmm. So if you want to spice up your game, get away from the electronic callers, in my opinion, there's nothing better than these. But again, you can do the same things with the Primos calls. I am not as proficient with them because I don't use them, but and that's one of the calls, again, that's endorsed by Randy Anderson. As anybody that's in the coyote world knows, Randy Anderson kills a pile of dogs. He uses these all the time. They do work. I'm not going to say that. It's just not my thing. So I'll show you guys a howl on this.
Sounds great.
Yep.
You can tell there's a difference between the two, but that definitely would get the job done. So if you don't like a diaphragm call,
yep. Or if
these
you
reed
can't
calls would work good. Or you can't
use a diaphragm, all you're doing is you're dragging your teeth very lightly.
He drags his teeth too.
I blow hard and drag my teeth. I don't know if we have to edit that up or not.
See what happens.
So anyway, these are an alternative to the MFK game calls. Some of you, it may be a go-to. It's very easy with the reed to figure this out. You can adjust the pitch by taking that out, and then it works just like the little dog. Sounds more like a pop.
Yeah.
You can even do distress rabbit or something on here. Again, I'm not real proficient with them because I don't use them all the time. But I have played around with them a little bit. I'm one of those that a call comes out, I'm like, I gotta try that thing, you know, just for something to do, and then they end up in the bag because I can't beat my fail-safe from MFK. So there's also the power howler, which works a little bit different than the reeds do. It has a power band on it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I bought this because I was trying to mimic something that Jason Grossclothes was doing, where he does a lone howl on one of his calls, and then he gets into like pups yipping and howling between this. But this is an alternative. This is real easy to blow on.
Takes a lot of air to
It
push
does
that
take a
one,
lot of air.
because he's got a lot of air too, and for him to get winded on a call is pretty funny. I never heard you calling it. So
Yeah.
Shane called me up last year, and he had gotten into this point where he was mimicking the whole volley of them.
Yeah,
what
which
do we
is-
call a bunch of the whole?
Like a group howl.
Yeah, group, whatever. Anyway, so he was mixing around with some different
Yeah.
calls and whatnot.
I'll try and do it for you right now. I am not good at it. If you guys want to hear it in its
We got
expert
time.
volume, it's Jason Grossclothes. Check him out. Again, it takes a lot of air to push that thing. I haven't been practicing for a long time with that. It sounds like crap. I was actually in hopes to go down and compete against Jamie last year, and ended up getting called out to South Dakota for work and missed the competition. Hopefully we'll have another one come up in the years to come, and I can go down and mess around with JT and see if I can create a little bit of competition for him. But anyway, if you guys have questions about anything that we've covered today, feel free to reach out to us on Maineiac Outdoors, our Facebook page. I am the one that controls the page, so I do check it, you know, fairly frequently, once every couple of days, and we'll answer questions on there. But if you're looking for a quicker response, or you want to get into a detailed conversation, feel free to reach out to Steve at Steve Peasley on his Facebook page, or myself, Shane Plummer.
Preferably Shane.
We like to help people out as much as possible.
Shane likes to more than I do.
Yeah, we do the seminars at the Sportsman Show every year on calling
I
predators.
think we're very good. We get a lot of private messages, and we definitely try to help people out. And I'm just saying, I'm not so much into. Well, anyway, Shane does all the, and he knows. You know, we're very versed, the both of us. So Shane can answer everything.
Yeah.
That I know about when it comes to these things, because we hunt right now 3-4 times, 3-4 evenings a week because of what is going on right now,
Yeah.
and it's a great place to be. And the coyotes are
Real
doing
active
really
right now.
good. So
I've honestly never seen an April like this. So a lot of places that we're rolling into, we're hearing coyotes free howl off in the distance, and it allows us to move on them without even trying to locate.
and
So,
we've got less than a week now, or about a week before our turkey season starts, and who knows? Maybe we'll give you some pointers in the turkey world too,
Yeah.
because that one I'm pretty good at.
Yeah.
Well, we're both pretty good at. Anyway,
yeah.
that
So,
goes over some of the calls. Maybe at some point, if you guys like this video, which you should, I hope you do, and let us know, and drop us a like,
Yeah.
drop us a comment, and maybe we'll run you guys through one of our actual call sequences,
yeah.
so you can
Subscribe to our YouTube page.
yeah, you'll see it with anybody that does this. The support is how we stay connected with you people, and you can private message us all the time, but in order for this thing to grow and for people to see what we do and how we do it,
Yeah. We're going to get
as
Steve.
CC would say, you gotta come together.
So, Steve, I'm going to get him to give you guys a deer hunting seminar at one of these points in time. You can see all these antlers behind us. A lot of these are sheds that he's found, but I could give you guys a tour of the house, and he's got more taxidermy in here than Cabela's does. I'm not sure how he still has a penny to his name.
I
But
don't.
But as Steve said, keep following us. We'll be doing more seminars as we come along. We may even have a surprise for you where you might be able to interact with us live. We'll roll that out at another time. But again, thanks for following and
tell us what you guys would like to see. We certainly take suggestions, and you know, the night hunts we don't have the video capability for. We did used to have a live feed every now and then, but we could certainly, one thing we thought about doing was actually just doing like an audio kind of sequence when we start out, when the coyotes are answering, and what goes on from that.
Yeah.
But we can certainly video from the start. And but if you guys really wanted to know how we call them in and what we use precisely and what we sound like precisely, we could definitely do that. All we got to do is hear from you folks, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.
And we are looking for a sponsor for a $30,000 thermal camera, so we can bring you coyote hunts if you'd like.
Yep, pocket change.
Pocket change. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks for following the episode, and we'll catch you next time.